Okay, welcome back to Israel Straight Talk here from Jerusalem. Thank you for joining us today. And today we will be talking about, hold on one second. Just tech stuff. Just some tech stuff. What a day. We are just waiting. We just started and we're just waiting. What a world. Jerusalem is gorgeous today. I love that picture. Do you love that picture? That is a picture of people dancing outside one of the gates of Jerusalem. Okay, we're going to get started. Guys, today we're going to deep dive. Big issue. A lot of people won't be happy about this issue, but we're dealing with it because we like dealing with real stuff. People can talk about, people ask questions, people can comment. What are we talking about? Obama is seriously messing up the world, and by duping all of us by abusing the term of Jewish values. All right, let's get into this. First of all, there is a very, very famous proverb, okay? The road to hell is paved with good intentions. That's just the way it is. And there are plenty of people who have good intentions. And there are plenty of progressives who believe in very fabulous values to help the world, to change the world, to bring good to the world. But sometimes by how they do it, they end up doing bad things. And that's how we come to Obama. Okay? Why is this news right now? Because last week Obama gave a speech in a Jewish synagogue in Washington. And part of his speech was saying, I support Israel, I want to help Israel. You Jews have to support me, basically, because I stand with you. And Israel is not upholding to its own Jewish values, which is ludicrous. He's basically telling the people of Israel that he knows what's in our best intentions, how we could be a better country, as if the people of Israel who just democratically elected their leadership in an election, we don't know well enough. No, Obama knows. And he uses Jewish values as if he knows what Jewish values are and that's what he's about. Well, we have a message for Obama. The highest value of Judaism is the sacredness of life. The sacredness of life is the highest value that there can be. Israel, the modern state of Israel, from its inception, has always done what that could be done to protect the lives of Israeli citizens, all Israeli citizens, as well as do what they can to protect the lives of the combatants and our enemies while they try to attack us and do horrible things to us. The highest value in Judaism is the sacredness of life. If there is any value that Obama has shown he is not as important to him, is exactly that, the sacredness of life. He talks the talk. He talks as if life's important, everyone's lives are important. But in reality, look at his actions. His actions do not come through. In the last Gaza war, in the middle of the war, he had the Washington government uphold transferring of weapons to Israel. In the middle of the war, Israel needed these weapons to fight Gaza. Terrorists trying to kill innocent Israeli citizens. And Obama held that up. That's not helping him stand up for the value of life. Everything going on in the Middle East today, is he doing everything to save lives that he can? Okay, let's get more serious here. He knows what to say. He knows what to say to come across so that people can support him. He knows what to say so that Jews with Jewish values of helping the world and social change would come out and support him. But when it comes down to it, doesn't happen. Now, I'm not going to talk about Israel because the liberals and progressives out there, they all make their arguments about Israel. They won't accept that Obama really isn't supportive of Israel because he does some things and he says things. Fine. Well, let's put Israel aside. My litmus test for Obama in terms of honestly caring about life and on the world stage, on the international stage, are his policies on Iran and Egypt. Very simple. Let's look at how Obama dealt with Iran and Egypt in trying to save lives. Now, let's just put the building blocks here for this discussion. Egypt, whether one liked the leadership of Egypt or not, Hosni Mubarak, for decades, he was an ally of the United States. That's just the way it is. He was an ally of the United States. Iran, since 1979, with the overthrow of the Shah, who was an ally of the United States, Iran has been on the death march against America as well as Israel. Those are just the facts. Those are the two countries. Now, in both countries, there aren't total free rights for everyone. However, in Egypt, there are more rights and more freedoms that exist for Egypt that we're talking about under Hosni Mubarak. There are more rights and freedoms than exist under the mullahs of Iran since 1979. Now, in both countries, Iran and Egypt, they were popular citizen revolutions. In the streets, students, parents, people in the streets wanting to overthrow their governments. In both countries. The first one actually was in Iran. It was the Green Revolution 3-4 years ago. Obama did nothing to assist the Iranians in their revolution in trying to overthrow the theocracy of the mullahs, the Muslim mullahs, the Shiite mullahs of Iran. Women don't have equal rights. Gays don't have freedom, equal rights. Hangings in the streets. It's a crazy environment, and the people wanted freedom. Talking about Iran, the Green Revolution, Obama did nothing. He sat by, he had America sit by, while Iran put down its popular uprising in the most brutal way with violence against its own citizens in its streets. Okay, that's Iran, and Obama, with his Jewish values, with the highest Jewish value is the sacredness of life, did nothing to help and save the lives of Iranians. Then we come to Egypt. Egypt, there also was a popular uprising. Okay, now, who were the ones behind or very much involved in this popular uprising? The Muslim Brotherhood. The Muslim Brotherhood are one of the baddest of the bad of the Sunni Muslims that want to bring Sharia and jihad all over the world. And they were the ones behind the uprising in Egypt to overthrow Hosni Mubarak. And Obama supported the Muslim Brotherhood as they then overthrew Hosni Mubarak, and they were elected in to be the leaders of Egypt. Obama was very supportive of the revolution in Egypt against an ally. But in Iran, against an enemy of America, yes, Iran screams death to America all the time, their leaders, not just their people. He did nothing. So where is your value, President Obama, for really caring about life and life of world citizens? It's not there. Because he really is a hypocrite. He has an agenda for America, which we're not going to touch, an agenda for the world. And part of that agenda for the world goes up against the very basic values of standing by your friends and standing against your enemies. Country after country, Obama has chosen to get closer and work together with the enemies of the United States of America and do almost everything to distance himself from the allies of America. Israel is an ally. Egypt is an ally. Saudi Arabia is an ally. Iran is an enemy. Turkey is in the middle, but he wanted to get close with Turkey. country after country, he has signed and come up with initiatives and policies and words, who he says good things about, who he doesn't, who he says bad things about, who he doesn't. It's always the allies who get the short end of the stick. Where's his value of standing by friends and standing up to the enemies? Doesn't exist with him. So he goes against the basic values of life, really wanting to stand up and protect life. And I'm going to throw you another example out there. In the war of Gaza last summer, Israel was using rockets to protect our civilians. Hamas in Gaza was using rockets to kill innocent civilians. They used their rockets in the homes of their own Gazans, where they used their women, children, old people as human shields. So who's standing for the value of life there, Obama? Israel or Hamas in Gaza? Well, if you go back to the headlines of the newspapers, interviews, look at everything Obama said about the conflict then, about the Gaza war. Israel got the brunt from Obama. He never said anything in calling out Hamas and calling out the terrorists, and they're abusing their own people as human shields. Nothing. Israel got the brunt, and Israel was told to stop. We did everything in our power to protect the lives of the innocent civilians from our enemy side, even while they're being used as human shields. Yet Obama says nothing about that. He calls out Israel. So in terms of Jewish values and the value of life being the most sacred value of all, he fails time and time again. Now, it's very, very important to understand this. Enabling Iran to get a nuclear weapon that threatens millions of people's lives. Millions, tens of millions, not just in Israel, but across the Middle East. There's a Shiite-Sunni war. Iran is the Shiites. They want to overtake the whole Middle East. Saudi Arabia, Sunni. They want to take over Saudi Arabia. Egypt, Sunni. They want to take over Egypt. They want to attack Europe. They have relationships with Venezuela and also countries in South America and Central America. What do you think they're going to do with rockets when they bring them to South America or Central America if they have nuclear weapons? America's in its crosshairs. That's why they're always screaming death to America in Iran. Obama wants to enable Iran to have nuclear weapons. Does that go according to the value of life? No. He's making the world a more dangerous place, bringing more people into danger of being killed and losing their lives. So that's what's going on with Obama's deal with Iran that he's trying to push through. Okay? Number two, at the same time that Obama was talking about Jewish values and he supports Israel, in the same speech, he then goes, but if Israel doesn't do what the right thing is, then then the U.S. will reevaluate its relationship with America. Then the United States will reevaluate its relationship with Israel and not necessarily stand by Israel in the United Nations, one of the most deadly and anti-Israel international forums that exists today. So what happens if the United States reevaluates its relationship and takes away standing with Israel? Well, where's his value of life there? All of a sudden, Israel's enemies will know that it's open season on Israel. Terror, diplomatic terror, and the millions of Israeli lives all of a sudden will be in danger. So on the one hand, he's talking about Jewish values, but yet the most sacred value is life, and he throws that to the wind, enabling Iran to get nuclear weapons. Tens of millions, hundreds of millions of people all over the world will be in danger of losing their lives with Iran and having nuclear weapons to be able to give to its proxies and terror proxies all over the world. And then threatening Israel to not support Israel, the only democracy in the Middle East, the only country that does everything in its power to protect innocent civilians of its enemy population. The only country, and he wants to withhold that, all of a sudden it's open season on Israelis, and the lives of Israelis are going to be thrown out and lost. So no, you do not stand for values. You do not stand for Jewish values. Obama makes a good talk. He talks the talk of the values, progressive values, helping the world. But everything he's doing on the world stage is making the world a worse and more dangerous place. So what was this about? This speech in a synagogue to the Jews in Washington, D.C. You got to hand it to him. Obama's a smart guy. I disagree with his policies, but he's smart. He knows what he's doing. He's a slick politician, and he knows what to say. So let's be real. Obama doesn't care about Israel. He doesn't care about Jewish values. If you ask me, I don't really think he cares about the future of America, but that's a totally different issue that a lot of people will argue with. But he's a political beast who knows what he's doing, and what he wants right now is to get his Iran deal passed. And he wants as many Jews as possible to support it, because the leader of the Jewish people, the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, has come out very strongly against it, showing how dangerous it is. And any thinking person out there who understands knows that Israel's Prime Minister is correct and Obama is wrong. But those people who like to hear big words and values and saving the world and engaging our enemies, even though it has no basis in reality, as we started the talk, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. It's wonderful to want to engage your enemies to get them on the right path, but sometimes the only time you can engage your enemies is after you beat them to a pulp and they're ready to talk to you and agree to your terms. But if your enemy still has all of its capabilities, and here we're talking about Iran with nuclear capabilities, and if America allows them to have their capabilities where they just have a short breakout period, the world will be a much more dangerous place. So he wants to say the right things so that the liberals of the world, and even the Jewish liberals of the world, of America, support him so he can get his Iran deal passed. It's horrendous, and it's dangerous, and it's a deal of appeasement and capitulation to one of not just Israel's enemies, but to America's enemies. Iran is an enemy of the United States. Do you know how many videos there are on YouTube showing the leaders of Iran screaming death to America, with tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people in the streets screaming death to America? Iran is an enemy. They are looking for this deal so they can have more money to support more terror again all over the world against Israel and the United States and anyone else, and the Sunni Muslims. That's all it's about. He talks the talk. He says what needs to be said to get people to support him. He says the right things. We want to help the world. We want to engage with our enemies. No. He's about making the world a more dangerous place. And it's sad that many people do not read past him saying the right things and talking about values. But if he really believed in values, he really believed in the value of life, then he would do everything in his power to ensure that the bad guys of the world, the evil ones in the world, and they exist, and evil exists, especially in the Middle East, with the radical terrorists of the Sunnis and the Shiites, do everything in his power to make sure they get obliterated, and they do not have the ability to have access to nuclear weapons to bring more havoc to the whole world, not just to the Middle East, not just to Israel, but to the whole world. So that's Obama and his values, and it's important that people hear and see the truth and see past him. That's it for Israel Straight Talk today. Thanks for joining us. Any questions or comments? Again, I just want to say thank you to everyone for being here. And anytime, any questions you have, you can follow us on Twitter, @AviAbelow. Send in your questions, send in your comments. Dealing with Israel, dealing with the Middle East, dealing with peace. We'll be happy to answer and try to help people understand more and get by the misinformation, unfortunately, that is being spread by many of the politicians and many of the journalists. Sayonara, shalom from Jerusalem.